A goofball.
It's preparing to live stream the meeting now. There we go. We're live.
We're getting a reverb. Are you watching it on a page or am I?
I just exited out of the page.
That was me. Anyways, we're live too, right? So that's good.
Live, yeah.
Perfect. Hey, at least we're having fun here. Perfect. Well, we got about gosh, man, we got about probably a couple more seconds before we get started. We'll let people kind of come rolling in, and I'll check out our stats and see how things are going. And perfect. Do that with this. Perfect. Cool. All right, we're getting started here. You ready to go, Soph?
Yep.
Let's rock and roll. Let's do this thing. Hey, all right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Public Input Live. We're coming to you with best practices around public engagement and also show you how you can actually execute those best practices within the public engagement platform. So you can come here every Friday, 1 o'clock. We'll be talking about some things that we've learned to talk about best practices. And then there's the demonstration portion as well. So if you actually want to see what it looks like to actually use and leverage the public input tool, you'll get the chance to do that on this call. So let's go ahead and do some introductions. And Sophie, I'll let you get started.
Yeah. Hey everyone, Sophie Bitar here. I'm a solutions architect here at Public Input. So I support the sales team and work with prospective customers, just kind of scoping their needs and scoping out potential solutions in our platform to kind of fit those needs. And I'll hand it back over to you, Murphy.
Thank you. Hey, and Sophie's excellent at listening to what customers have going on, and then really showing them how they can unlock some capability within public input to overcome challenges. So if you get a chance to do a demo with Sophie, you'll come out enthusiastic and smarter, and hopefully looking forward to leveraging public input. For myself, I am Murph. Call me Murph around here. Michael Murphy. I am Partnerships Director here at Public Input, which essentially means I work really closely with our consultants that leverage our platform. There's mainly two users of our platform. That's going to be agencies, folks that work for government agencies that license public input, and then the consultants that work for them. And then also any consultant ever, could be you, out in the world that wants to license public input to bring the toolkit to your projects so that you have all these cool features and you're able to really serve your clients well. So if you have an effort that you've won, you want to license public input, you can do it. And you talk to our team. And that's basically what we do over here. So let's talk about what we're going to be diving into today before Sophie starts sharing her screen. So we're talking today about best practices around a session that we're calling Reach and Engage, right? So it's about getting in front of people, making engagement accessible, right? Making sure we're getting in front of them. And then also, what are the ways that we can actually engage folks? And so in this meeting right now, the thing that you're experiencing, you're at a public input webpage, and live streaming on that page is this public meeting. And you have options to engage there. There's some chat functions, and feel free to take advantage of those. You can also call in and listen to the meeting. We basically take a live stream from our meeting. Sophie and I are in Zoom, and we take a live stream of this meeting. We push it out so that the public can attend, but we can have, and then we wrap it with engagement features, so that makes the engagement. So we're going to be going over that today, and this is an example of that. So we'll be talking about how you can do engagement during these meetings, and whether you're using the public input platform or not, it can be helpful. And Sophie's going to talk about why you might want to do engagement during like a live meeting or something like this. And then We're going to close, as we close this out, we'll be closing with a little demonstration on our live closed captioning, which you may be experiencing right now. If not, you can toggle that on. But also there is a multilingual live closed captioning as well. That is a pretty powerful tool that many of our clients are using in areas where they want the public to be able to pick how they want to see those captioning. So great for limited English proficiency, where they may want to see those captions in a different language to allow a little bit more accessibility and understanding around these projects. So that is what we're going to be going on today. These live sessions are typically around 20, 25, 30 minutes. We'll keep it in that range so that you can get back to your busy day. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and give it back to Sophie so she can take it away.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we'll start with live polling as the first step here. So what we're looking at here is a screen that you can project if you're in like an in-person meeting using like a projector. You could also even just project this screen if you're doing like a virtual meeting as well by just kind of pulling it up on your, kind of like I'm doing by pulling it up on your screen share here. And so this is right in line with some of those options that you can offer folks to be able to participate during meetings. And what's great about this tool is that it's super simple, but it can be used in kind of a couple of different ways to help run a meeting really smoothly. So for example, one of the ways that we can use this feature is as a facilitation tool. So one of the most frustrating things we hear about running public meetings is often how difficult it can be to have a harmonious conversation, especially on a sensitive or like contentious issue. And a lot of times agencies find that it takes some negotiation skills to be able to handle those situations, especially when a small few are very vocal about their opinion on the topic at hand. So if you're in a position where you're defending the decision that was made, or maybe you're bringing up a topic for the first time in a meeting and you don't have the results to show, you know, how that decision was made, or maybe some kind of tactic for facilitating meaningful conversation, then that vocal few can start to have an outsized voice. And it can leave your team with the feeling that, man, everybody in the community must feel this way if like this is how passionate they are about this, you know, this is how vocal they are about this, about their disagreement or maybe agreement with whatever, you know, the topic is at hand. And it can, you know, it's just kind of a really, really great way to give you the power to kind of take a moment, gather everyone's feedback, then be able to show the results one question at a time, and maybe talk about what that means and where that takes the process next, so everyone can be on the same page. And
That's perfect. So, oh, sorry. So go ahead. Didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, and then just kind of a great way to ensure conversation can be meaningful. Everyone gets a chance to weigh in, whether they're vocal or not about it. Or if on the flip side, if a decision has already been made and your team is presenting the decision, you can show the results that led up to that as well.
That's perfect. So I'm going to frame that up in like a real life example that a lot of our consultants and agencies that may be watching this, like the actual engagement practitioners probably familiar with is, you know, the people that come to your meetings may be a density pro or against a decision or something like this, right? But one of the things you can do with these that is a little bit different within public input is like you can actually allow engagement on a question set that you've actually gathered information on in the past. And so what's interesting is though, even though the people in the room, you can allow them to participate, but also layer in that other data that has already been gathered in the past to show that like, although actually, does this one have any engagement? Could you hit show results or is it not set up for that?
It does have one participant, which was me, who responded to this.
Oh, right. So if anybody wants to participate, actually now you could actually text into that phone number and participate, you know, by responding in, that would actually show up. And you see down there, it says refreshing results. It's constantly refreshing there. So if somebody does participate, we'll be able to see that live. But what I wanted to say is like, this one is one of the cases where this meeting obviously doesn't have, or this question doesn't have any other feedback. But if you did already have maybe a survey that went out that already had feedback, you could allow additional participation in your meeting for a survey that got general engagement from a larger population. That can really kind of balance some of the narrative. And I think that's exactly what Sophie is talking about here. So, and that's real practical application that you may have done in the past, which could be really helpful.
Yeah, great point. And also one thing I'll add to, it's really a great way to ensure that we're lowering the barriers of participation and consider sort of all of the circumstances that our residents might have. So it's not just by, reiterating again at the top here that there's multiple ways for them to participate in this survey. They can go to the online link here or text in their comment if they want to. But kind of going back to the example of the vocal few, maybe not everybody is comfortable getting up to voice their concern and standing up in front of everyone. And maybe they're either in agreement with the decision or in disagreement with that vocal few who are being really, they're passionate about it. And so, that's just that's a scenario that's probably really common. And, me myself, like I would not want to go up there and express, kind of add fuel to the fire by expressing disagreement or, agreement on the opposite side. So it's just a great facilitation tool, not just for you, but also even for the residents that want to kind of use different ways to still voice their opinion, but not necessarily get up on the mic and speak up.
Yeah, that's a great example because you can imagine, your neighbor's all fired up about something and you don't actually feel the same. You may not want to make the comment like publicly or go up there and actually take the podium, but instead you could, if you allow participation in a number of different ways, you could also allow, I'm actually texting into this meeting right now to give this a shot, but you could also allow them to participate passively, leave voicemails, comment in like you can on this current page that we're on right now. You can actually type in a comment if you wanted to, a number of different things you could do there. So give an opportunity for the silent majority, the quiet majority, or maybe even to be able to voice their opinions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Murphy, do you want me to give you a couple seconds to text that in, or should I? We can come back to this page.
Yeah, we can come back to it. That's fine.
Okay. Awesome. So the next thing I will bring up is another screen that you can project here, which is contactless sign-in. So we have that option. Folks who are maybe you project the screen at the beginning of the meeting. So folks who are just coming in, they can scan this QR code if they have a smartphone. If not, they can just simply go to this link, and it's just kind of a great way to capture that sign-in information without them having to, touch like a iPad or a sign-in screen themselves, especially with COVID nowadays. That might be kind of a concern.
Yeah. Are you going to show kiosks as well as an example? Yeah, perfect. So this is kind of like level 2. We used to do kiosks. Sophie will show you that. This is a great way to have something so as people are coming in, they can quickly scan and say like, hey, and you get some information from them. Everybody comes in, hey, don't forget to scan the QR code, do a sign in coupled with maybe a couple survey questions or something like that. So a great way, again, to get engagement during your meetings. If they don't have a smart device, you can also have the ability for them to participate by text or set up by text, or some options there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I will bring up Kiosk Mode. We're back in the back end here. So I'm going to start with just I'll walk through how to set it up and some of the settings you can customize with Kiosk Mode. And then once I hit save, it's going to actually pull up the live page here. So let's go ahead and create a new Kiosk Mode here. We can name it, and we can also choose the type. So if we wanted to just be like a sign-in screen, kind of like the contactless sign-in, we can choose that option, or we could do kiosk with survey. So let's just do sign-in screen for now. We can also associate any of these responses with a meeting. I only have one meeting in this particular project here, so we'll just leave that blank for now. We can also customize the opening screen content. This is going to be really similar to the content customization tool or builder that we used on the project setup page. So, this is all kind of your basic Microsoft Word functionality here. So, just kind of a great way to get that done here. And then we can also select any of these fields that we want to collect. So maybe we want to collect email, phone, and name. We can require those if we need to, but not completely necessary. And then at the bottom here, we can funnel any of our folks that are signing in to subscribe to either a list about the projects or maybe just general updates. So you can have that, you can have those users subscribe and sort of have buttons for that as well. And then down here is just kind of where you would customize the button, the actual text that shows as they're signing in, and maybe just kind of the confirmation message at the end here. So I'll go ahead and save it, and it should launch in a new tab here, and we can see what the residents will see here. There we go. So super simple, super basic. This is, something that kind of comes as default with our meetings module here. But great option to use. Just kind of make sure that we are collecting, as much information as possible, but we're not creating more work for us on the back end. So if we want to kind of, maybe if we're using this for an in-person event and we want to create a digital record, we can do that without, the manual process of having people fill out paper sheets and then trying to input that back into like an Excel spreadsheet or some kind of larger system from there. So it's all kind of being collated together and making sure that we can get accurate information as easy as possible.
I love that. That's perfect. Appreciate you showing a little bit of that background there as far as our kiosks. And then of course, the nice thing is, did you show where the you can associate it with a meeting?
Yeah. It's a little drop down.
I think that's super powerful because you can think of even if you're having an in-person meeting, right? Even if it's in person, go ahead, create, advertise that on your public input site, create the meeting, allow people to add it to their calendars, give them the information on where it is, and then, tie it in to that meeting when you have a, create a kiosk like this or some kind of sign in where folks can be, register themselves as participants that actually attended that meeting when they show up live to that. So you can do that both hybrid, virtual, or I guess 3 different ways, or if you're just simply doing an in-person type meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go back to that page here and see if we can see your respond. Did you get a chance to respond to that?
I didn't.
Okay, no worries. So I will stop sharing my screen and I'll kind of hand that over to you to talk about the multilingual closed captioning here.
Yeah, and actually, so looking at one of the things that can be powerful is, and actually I messed up setting up this meeting and I don't have closed captioning enabled. So we'll do this, I promise, on our next session. We'll show multilingual closed captioning. But I can talk about the ability to see some of the content in multilingual. And so what I'll do is I will share a screen here and show what are the meeting that's actually happening. And by the way, this can be a little disorienting because we're actually watching the meeting happening on the project page. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Actually, let me change this back to English to begin with. And then I will move from here into our, give me a second, and show my screen. So yeah. Is anyone waiting to get into our into this meeting by any chance? I don't know. I'm not a meeting host, so okay. All right. So right now you should be seeing the page that you're currently on. Is that correct, Soph? Yes. This is our meetings page, right? Yeah. So I can actually just scroll down and see and make sure that you can see it. So all right. So imagine you're attending a meeting and we had closed captioning enabled, which I do not have it enabled right now, and that is totally my fault. But we'll have it on the next one. So here's the thing. Once you have closed captioning enabled, let's say all this content is in English and I want to translate this into a different language. So I can go on here and change this into, let's say, Spanish, for example. So this is going to change my page and everything into another language. The other thing that is kind of interesting, Soph, do you mind, could you put in a comment here as well? Maybe you could drop a comment, just say hello or something, and that should show up here. But what I want to show is that this entire thing is now in Spanish. The other thing that would be in Spanish if I had closed captioning enabled is the closed captioning would be live translated into Spanish as well. And so everything I'm seeing is in Spanish, which is super, super helpful if I have limited English proficiency and Spanish is my native language. Actually, it looks like Sophie just enabled it. Nice work. Thank you, Soph, for being in the background there and helping out with that. So let me do this. I'm actually going to go ahead and go back to English. So now we're seeing it in English, and we should be seeing my kind of the captioning in English as well, right here. Perfect. It's actually just walking through, and it tries to guess at what it's saying, and then it finishes the sentence and finishes the captioning. But if I wanted to see this in another language, all I need to do as a participant is simply go here and pick the language that I want to see. And there's a number of different languages there. And if it was Spanish, then I would be seeing that live translation in Spanish as well. So you can see that functionally working here in real time, which is fantastic. So I'm glad you're able to make that work, Sophie. I appreciate the tag team on that. When I'm looking at this, I can imagine that if I wanted to we were receiving comments and comments were being posted publicly, those comments that came in would also be translated, which can be super helpful if I want to know what other people are saying. And we may not have public comments posting live on this current one, but I just want to show what that would look like. There would be comments here or maybe comments below, and those would all be translated as well, which can be super helpful. One thing we did not touch on, which I think is something I've seen used by some of our clients to create like really deeper engagement with meetings. And what that would look like is adding engagement questions to your meeting like this. So while you're in the meeting, you could actually have them going to the project page, and they're on there watching the meeting, and you can say something like, hey, below the meeting right now, if you're attending, thank you so much for being here. Below, you're going to see a number of questions. We'd love for you to just answer those questions, provide a little feedback, and we'll be showing the results of that at later on in the meeting. And what that does is allow people to engage. There was one meeting that I saw a consultant do one time where they had a mapping engagement questions, and they were actually doing activities. And so they were saying like, all right, here, now we're going to go to our second map. And now we're going to say where we need more parking in our community. So if everybody could just start dropping their pins where they'd like to see parking, that would be fantastic. And then they're actively participating. This is kind of has that feel of a charrette type thing, right? Where you've got a small meeting and everyone's doing active engagement together. This is one way that you can kind of create that within public input as well. And then of course, you seeing the live results as an admin, I could see the live results and be able to show those results to the community to aggregate those. I can do that all live as well. So a lot of different features here that I think are interesting. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen share here to quit the inception, which I know can be a little bit disorienting as you're watching a meeting happening about a meeting happening. So I went ahead and turned that off. That is what we wanted to go over today. As I promised, 21 minutes. Well, we try to keep it about 20, 25 minutes. A couple things we'll do before we close is just recap. When you're doing sessions, live meetings, engagement's important. If it's a formal meeting and you have public hearings and the public needs to actually like make testimony, our platform can support that. But again, multiple and redundant opportunities for the public to participate is super important. You can do that on our platform. If you want to control some, like manage some narrative or comments or however you want to do that, the public input platform does have the ability to do, we saw a couple different survey options, but live polling as well, which was really popular back in the day when we'd all get together and attend these meetings live, which seems like some of that is coming back, which is fantastic. But when you do it, make sure that there's multiple options, right? Because if you only offer the ability to participate in the live polling simply by using going to a URL, there may be folks that are participating and their voices should be heard as well that may not have a smartphone. But if you have text to participate options, or you have kiosks set up as options for people to participate as well, you can hear from everybody in that room. So really important things to consider as far as best practices. And of course, reaching people where they are. Multilingual is so important in so many communities, and adding a layer of live closed captioning can be really beneficial. So I want to make sure we show that as well. And as always, Sophie, can you tease them what we've got coming up next?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our next episode or session, we're going to move on from reach, and we're going to talk about engage and some of those tactics that go along with that. So we're going to demonstrate text to participate, which is a really kind of interesting option for your surveys, as well as project email inbox and project phone line, which are just great ways to kind of manage a bunch of those different sort of options that we sort of touched on briefly in some of those previous sessions, but we'll get into some details in our next session. So stay tuned. It'll be super fun.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this. Is there's anything you want to see about Public Input, about the platform? If you've had challenges with engagement and you want us to address how you might be able to overcome some of those, drop those in the comments. We take a look at those, or you can call into the phone number and leave us a voicemail. We can replay the voicemail into our next meeting, and there's just tons of options that we can do. Anyways, we'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for attending here today. Let us know how we can serve you. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of me at Michael at Public Input, and you get a hold of Sophie at publicinput.com. Until we meet again next Friday at 1 o'clock, we wish you happy and successful engagements.
Bye, everyone.